He's got it. We're good.
Perfect. Good open up for the meeting here. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Call the meeting, I call to order the meeting here on January 29th, 2026. Take roll call. Mr. Cunningham.
Here.
Mr. McKee.
Here.
Mr. Phillips.
Here.
Mr. Maltzberger.
Here.
Mr. Rice.
Here.
Mr. Trump here. I believe we have one absent, Mr. Harshbarger, is absent due to work. Business meeting, first order of business is first of the year, so is electing officers for the following positions: chair, vice chair, and secretary, as we do every year on that. Do I have any motions for chair for the year 2026?
I'll nominate John.
Nomination of by Mr. McKee. Do I have a second?
I second.
A second by Mr. Cunningham. Any discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Passes. I have a nomination for vice chair.
I'll nominate Dane.
Nomination by Mr. McKee for Dane.
Second.
Second by Mr. Phillips. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor? Opposed? Passes. Nomination for secretary.
Make a motion for Michael.
Nomination by Dane for Michael. Do I have a second?
Second.
By Mr. Phillips. Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Passes. Work session, over the setbacks ordinance. We have, on that, amendment, to the ordinance on that, on the setbacks. Wanted to bring that up, have that, for that, we'll be looking at, getting that going, for February, after we have this work session, for passage in, February is the, timeline, so people know a little bit of the timeline on that. We didn't know if there was any discussion over that from anyone.
Yeah, I had a couple, and from the email I sent to you. So. Anyways, my question on it was, if we're going to use that acreage.
Jump forward to the subdivision. Okay. I have no preliminary discussion on setback.
Okay. Anybody ever have any preliminary discussion on the setbacks? Yeah. Let's head over to the subdivision ordinance.
So looking through this, what you sent out, John. Most of it looks good. I think this is where Dane might have been going, was the minimum lot size. And that minimum lot size only applies to commercial subdivisions, is that correct?
I just gotta understand, yes, that is because the exemptions for the immediate family subdivisions. Is they comply with applicable building setbacks. And floodplain and on-site sewage system, which comes from the health department. So everything else, this is only for commercial subdivisions. So the lot size would be a commercial subdivision on that.
So therefore, if someone wanted to come in to the county and purchase an acre of land off of a farmer and build their own home, that does not apply to a one build situation, only a commercial subdivision situation then.
So if a person, if I'm understanding the question correctly, if a person comes in and purchases 1 acre and they meet the section, the one that says it's a dash because you haven't put in what article this is, -03. If they meet that, then yes.
Okay.
So if that's 1.0, if that's 0.98, if that's the question at hand is the minimum lot size gets triggered if it's deemed to be a commercial subdivision. Now they have to have, as this is written here, has to meet the minimum lot size of 3 acres.
Gotcha.
Because that got triggered with the commercial lot.
Yep.
With the commercial subdivision.
So what we're talking about, we're using the word commercial, we're using it for business and industry, or we're using it as the actual subdivider?
So in this, if I'm understanding your question correctly, the term commercial is in this. It's not being how they're zoned.
Right.
In this ordinance, we are calling it a commercial subdivision.
Okay.
Versus a immediate family subdivision.
That familiar,
Familial.
as we covered in this.
Correct.
That familiar part.
So would a better terminology instead of commercial subdivision be retail subdivision?
I think so. I think that might be better because it gets it confused with commercial property. That retail, because they're buying it with the purpose to subdivide it and resell it out.
Correct. So may add that in your notes, John, instead of a commercial subdivision, it would be retail subdivision. So it was bought by an individual with the intent to subdivide and resell off the parcel.
Okay. Because I think we've been pretty clear in that language in there about the familiar part of it, you know, families and children and that kind of thing. So like,
You like that word consanguinity?
yeah, yes,
That's a big word.
yeah. How to Google that?
So my thought on that is the 3 acre size is. Yeah, it gets dicey on. Are you building a 400 square foot home? Or are you building a 4,000 square foot home? The lot size can drastically vary on the size of the home. So if instead of a 3 acre minimum, what if you did a 5 home per 10 acre lot? So if you bought a 10 acre field and wanted to subdivide it, you could put no more than 5 homes in the 10 acre area.
So I think my concern on the 3 acres is if we're gonna use 3 acres for subdividing lots, we're gonna have to readdress section 2.11 in that table, that first column, minimum lot area, because currently we have a current minimum lot area for ag as 1 acre. And then we have for residential, we have it as 7,000 square feet and business is 3,000. Yeah, so I think we need to readdress, we're going to readdress that column as we move this forward.
Correct. So if we were to. So the question comes to my mind, if we pass. How do you have it worded, no more than 5 houses per 10 acres? What would be that number that we put in that grid in 211? Minimum lot size.
Right, that's where I have to, that's where I like the number per acre, but then we sort of still leave it up for grabs as to what that minimum lot size is gonna be.
So we could say is that you can put 5 homes per 10 acres, or we can make a density level is what we're doing, but then we can say that you can't go below so many. The lot still has to be so big. Like you can't do one that's 1 acre and 4, you have to have. We can make a minimum lot size. We could do both. We could have a density, no more than 5 per 10 acres, or 15 per 20, we can do whatever the number we come up with, but then we can also state is that the lots cannot be larger or smaller than a certain number. So then in that grid, then we have a minimum lot size.
And don't we haven't they changed some of the rules with the health department now? Because if these are in a rural setting, you're gonna have your own septic. And then there are additional buffer you now have to have on that septic.
From what I'm understanding, I don't want to speak for the health department, but how I understood, in my small understanding of it is that there is at least rumblings from the state that new builds have to have a backup area that is plotted to be, where the next septic system may go if the original one fails. Not that it has to be put into place, but it just has to have, you can't just find a way to squeeze it into your lot.
Yeah.
If that fails, you have to have a planned secondary position for placement for that is how it's how I understood. And so I think it bears that we would flesh it out a little bit more, but I know that the 3 acres meets that.
Yeah,
criteria.
I mean, even if you put a 4,000 square foot house on there, you're gonna have a larger septic system, so you'll have the space to do it.
And you can fit in the second.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I still think that that's. The 3 acres, I really like that part of it being that applicable to the whole situation, you know? It also kind of keeps, it isn't making these developments so dense. You know, got a house going, house going, house going, house just because it can, doesn't mean it should.
Other thoughts? I'm not just trying to look down this way and ignore you, so if you need to throw something at me, you can.
But I was also like, when I was reviewed that comment and put it in light of what you had sent out. I was like rather shocked that. Even industrial, for an industrial, if we're gonna subdivide off something for an industrial. Like, they don't even have to have a half an acre to put business on it. I was like. Who put this one together? That's crazy. You know?
Very valid point.
You know. And I guess from my perspective, I'm like, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. If we're gonna say 3 acres for you to build a house on, then I'm sorry, but if you're gonna put a business in here, you're gonna put an industry in here, you're gonna be at least the same minimum standard that somebody doesn't have a house on there, because that house is gonna have less impact on the neighbors as versus the business and the industry. Because if we leave this stand as it is now, if we're looking forward to where we're gonna have these theoretical business zones throughout the county, you could end up having business density that's like atrocious along these main areas.
Well, I think that goes back to the discussion that we've had multiplicity of times, is the fact of looking at this and designing, as we look at the comprehensive plan, which we have to use, and the current one states that we must maintain the agricultural heritage of County, therefore we have that. So that's a huge push on that. It doesn't mean we don't have businesses, because it's hard to be agricultural if you don't have any businesses, because it takes businesses in order to, I mean, it's a necessary part of it. So on that, and getting these pieces for where we are at now. So I think that bears us looking at it, what is that number on that. I think that just voicing my opinion, not trying to say this is the way it has to go. But my mind goes to is with business and industrial. I think that's something we're going to, these are questions we've not asked. I mean, glad you're bringing them up, but I would hate to say that we can't go for agricultural and residential and move the setbacks now. We've fleshed out with staff and others in order to understand those are okay. Well, now we have to look at business and industrial. That's gonna open up another area that we have to research, but we do know where we're at on agricultural and residential. We could move those setbacks and then we can take B and I and look at those. You know, in
I
upcoming
think,
months.
but I think you can still take that industrial side of it. And you can still say, okay, well, we can file for an exception. Exception to use, so instead of being 3 acres, okay, you know. We need to have more acres here. Yeah,
I don't have a problem with more acres, but
yeah,
asking people of, getting in with the engineer and getting with the, other powers that be, that's off the top of my head, that's one person I'd want to chat with. You know,
Right.
how does this affect a business, something that would be zoned business?
right,
What is that number?
because currently our business is 3,000 square feet. I mean,
That's-
are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? You're gonna go build, yeah.
but does that make it open for smaller business?
I don't know, but that's the size of a modest house, I mean, modest sized house, you know, I mean, that's. And you're gonna run a business out of that? Okay, you know.
I mean, I'm picking some
Yeah.
random business down my road. How big is, the chiropractic, the Covington Spine Center? How big's the lot?
I don't know, how big is the lot?
0.96.
0.96, it's
Shy of an
almost
acre.
shy of an acre,
Mhm.
shy of an acre. Cause you're gonna run a business, you're also gonna have a parking lot, cause you're gonna have people coming and going and.
Right.
Drop offs and things like that,
And we're
so,
talking, we're now talking more commercial septic, commercial wells.
yes,
And it wouldn't have room
You
for
wouldn't have-
secondary plan B
the septic.
septic. It would not have room.
Yeah.
But what is
I
the,
don't believe-
what is the,
No, I'm sorry, it would be because it could go south.
what is the requirement on? What is the requirement for businesses? Because I know for residential, when I'm being told residential has to plan a secondary. What is the requirement on a commercial? Do they have to plan a secondary commercial? Or does it, I don't know, but I'm, you know, and that's
Yeah.
where.
Yeah.
I think these are all worthy of us fleshing out. I just don't know that I can tell you by, our next meeting that we would have the answers. Because I think when we get into commercial, we're gonna have to get in contact with. Who does, is it IDEM, does commercial septics, I believe? We're gonna have to start talking with them, they're the ones, I think it's IDEM. Or is it IDOH? It's one of the state, they actually, Fountain County Health Department doesn't touch them, it gets beamed over to the department, so we'd have to talk to them. I just don't know that I wanna hold up changing the setbacks of agricultural and residential. Right. Does that make sense? You know, not that we're stopping the discussion, I think we just spurred a great discussion on it. And then we could maybe take it up in March. With the business and industrial.
Well, that new building business that got built just south of Attica there along 41, do you know how it falls into this?
That's a question that has come up. I just got that question to Michelle, the lawyer. Because that's inside of the city of Attica's ETJ. It wasn't because of that. I'm not trying to, for those that are watching on this, I'm not impugning that it's on that. There was a question that came up is inside of the ETJ, if we change of this, what is that? How does that actually flesh out? Because it's not inside the city, it's in the ETJ. In all these pieces of, it's like land that's in limbo. We need to have an answer for these.
Can't. Well, obviously not, or I can't legally say, but I do believe that if it falls inside the ETJ of Attica, Covington, Petersburg, it falls under their statutes at that point. Not the county statutes. You gotta get out of that 2 mile buffer.
Yeah.
To get into these situations.
Okay.
So for instance, there's talk of a housing development going between there and the south end of town. That in Attica, and that's completely Attica's, city of Attica. Not property, but city of Attica's control. And that's why those ETJs are put in there, so that it is an expansion buffer for the city.
So some of the city's rules apply, but what? Does their zoning, because, you know, and I'm not being disagreeable, we're trying to get an actual answer, yes.
What about Grove Lane? ETJ was, that was under cities, and then it got.
And then they gave
and
us
then-
Pull back.
Exactly. So then all of a sudden you have control of and responsibility for maintenance of roads and yet it was under the Covington's ETJ, all of that approval.
At that point in time, correct, and then it was pulled back, and that's
Right.
what's fueled
Right,
a lot of this discussion,
right,
because that's. I'll say it on camera and it'll probably strike me down, but it's a disaster. It is a disaster. And that's not skipping away from this, but moving forward, I know. Montgomery County's. Part of their ordinance for their subdivisions is road widths. In a subdivision, there cannot be any basically 90-degree curves. It all has to be sweeping curves to continuous flow of traffic. And there's a lot of good things that I think we should look elsewhere in our surrounding counties to pull some of their ideas in as well, as if we're gonna drill something down hard. There's a lot of good things that we could sit here for 5 years and talk about every single thing, every single little bitty piece. But where do you stop? What do you implement? What do you not implement? Well, I don't want John to not be able to put a back drive into the shed because we say you can't. I mean,
Well, I mean, that's, so we had presented to us a road use plan. That would have stopped.
Yeah.
From doing that. I mean, the tenor that I'm hearing from the powers to be is we're trying to, let John build his back deck and put a driveway there. Now, at the same time, you can't go block county drain, which then floods the road. Cause then it goes and washes out the road, and I'm not picking on you, John, but there's that fine line between it. Of being able to, so on it, review criteria. So we instruct the BZA. In addition to the special use standards. The APC then has to evaluate, and the BZA has to evaluate. Is one of them is road access and traffic impacts. Because I did see Montgomery counties, Warren counties, Tippecanoe counties. I pulled one from, I think it was Washington County, don't, I apologize, I could be off on that. I pulled some of these counties. And it seemed very, that we were, if there was one cookie cutter way. So all subdivisions could look the same way. And so that's where trying to have something that. If this is a subdivision with 2 houses and it goes down and it splits off and there's house 1 and house 2. And it's a commercial sub or retail or whatever we decide on it, 190-degree turn. Doesn't need, you know what I'm saying, so that's where the wording was, what's the traffic impact? To use Grub Lane, Red Oak Lane, on that, there's not just 2 houses down there. There's multiplicity, I mean, we're zigzagging back and forth on that. And then road access. And all these pieces to bring in, to me, triggered was we can then talk to the county engineer. And know what we need to do is, and we have all those pieces, it triggers the BZA for the special use. It's all these pieces, because then we can get all the information and make. So that not all subdivisions look the same, but. If that makes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cause how do we get Jason involved in order to, without saying the road has to be. I was only wanting to do 6 homes, it's a maximum of 6 homes. It's only gonna be, there's no through road, there will never be a through road ever in the lifetime of everything. Do we need all that? There's all those pieces that I just wanna make sure that we
And I think there's a lot of pieces, but I also feel like I don't want us to spend a decade trying to think about every hypothetical piece that could be encountered, as opposed to, from my perspective, we start with this bigger general block, and we kind of like give it a little bit of structure. We got that on the books, and then as we go along, we can add. You know, it's a living, breathing document. We can add this and add that, or we can take this out, take that out. But at least we have some structure in there to start with, and then we can build on that structure and add those details in, rather than spending year or 2 years working on the whole thing, and we want to have it nice and pretty, but still we're never going to have every box checked.
Well, I think-
It's just not possible.
I think that's what we have 211. I
Yeah,
think they put some things in place and
Yeah.
now we're building
and
on it.
now we're building on to say, hey, we're gonna edit that, we're gonna edit that.
In 2000, whatever the year was, I mean, 2000 exactly, January 1 of 2000. I guarantee you, nobody was thinking about March of 2020 when we shut down every restaurant in the state. That was never even thought of. So we can only think of what we can think of, but this gets something on there. It triggers those things of lot size, road access. It gets, the people involved, I think that would be necessary. Our engineer, our county highway supervisor,
Turning.
then to me, road access, the what?
Attorney.
Attorney. Road access is also, was that we can get our fire chiefs involved, or EMS. Can your tanker get down there? To me, that's a pretty darn important question.
Yeah, I mean, like 3 acres seems like a big number, and for those that live along Kingman Road. So I can give you a 3 acre spot because that right across from Doug's house, that little corner field there is 3 acres. I know that, I grow the kid, that's a 3 acre field. So that kind of gives you an idea of what 3 acres looks like. But it doesn't mean that like somebody come in and says, hey, I know the minimum lot size is 3 acres, but here's what we want to do. We only want to build a house that's only 1,200 square feet. It's only got 2 bedrooms in it, requires a second side of this. So we said that, well, we can probably do this on 1 acre lots. Let's see if we can pitch it and get you to go along with this, because we can say, hey, we can cover this and this and this. That's what that special exemption and special use and on all those exemptions are in there for, so that no, it doesn't fit here, here, and here. It says, okay, we can go in there and,
And we can approve a plat as the APC. The
Right.
APC can approve a plat.
Right.
Which is, so if for right now, even without this, for a plat to come in, it has to be approved by the APC. We can say is, oh yeah, we see that. It's in Davis Township off of whatever road. And we understand that, we see the necessity of that. You're correct, and we're approving that. And then the BZA can be able to go and say, yep, we see that as well.
Yeah.
And then they pass it for the special, there's all these pieces. This isn't as if there's no way to tweak it. It's just puts the stop.
Right.
You can't just come in and just continue to urbanize and build without some parameters.
Right. So I mean, I think this is a good next step. I think we need to move this forward as a good sort of step. I just think if we're gonna do that, we need to make a few tweaks at the same time to amend column 1 here. Because that'll need to be amended.
Yes.
Where are we at on the discussion of what do we want to do for the you brought up KW? What's the will of the commission on the having it 3 acres? Or do we want to, because so 43,560 square feet is the square footage of 1 acre. So on that, in marrying up 211 to this, how do we have a number there saying, so is 2 acres, minimum size of 2 acres, and not having more than 5 houses per 10? Control density and control, but then saying it's gotta be If you're gonna make a subdivision, they can't be postage stamp.
Right. I don't know.
Michael,
I know that, I know there was some misinformation out there before this meeting of. They're trying to say you can't build anywhere in less than 3 acres. With less than 3 acre lot, and that's not at all what. And if you go to that and change that to 3 acres, then that kind of draws that down to. You can't come in and build less than 3 acres.
But again, we're talking business. We're talking business.
Retail subdivision.
Retail subdivision.
We're talking, somebody come
I
in.
mean, you're not calling it commercial anymore, you're calling it retail subdivision. Is that-
we're gonna actually decide that.
Okay,
Well, and I think. Does it say specifically?
but we're not talking about an individual who wants to buy an acre off of a farmer and build a home on it.
Correct.
That's what I want to make sure everyone understands.
Is there any language in this, John, that specifically says this is for building a residence? Specifically, it says subdivision control, but it says specifically for a residence. See, when I read through this, I couldn't find that it was for specifically a residence. It was just in general subdividing land.
In reference to family?
No, I think we're. I can get it here.
So, yeah, residence, so we said,
Section
section 2. No, that's conveying to him. It's in section 1 up there, smaller portions of this purpose construction or selling or leasing residential dwellings,
Here's another residential
residential dwelling.
building.
I think there it has the language for residential dwelling, so it separates it off from business industry.
So if they file a plat, I didn't see that, so did you answer your?
Yeah, I answered the question. We saw it here. It's
Recorded plats referencing.
residential building sites. So it's in section C. In section C, it talks about
Yeah.
for residential buildings.
Yes.
Residential buildings.
So currently. As everything stands right now. You have to, in order to build the minimum lot area in agricultural, which is. Like 98% of Fountain County, that's controlled by the county. Is 1 acre. So if you come right down to Fountain County. And want to build a home, you have to build it on a minimum of 1 acre unless you get a
special exemption.
special exemption. You have to go before the BCA. For residential, it's at 7,000. If they file a plat, it becomes residential.
So you're gonna have to amend A and R. Column, in that first column in 2.11.
So A is they still have to meet because A in with putting in this ordinance, subdivision ordinance. If it's a family or an individual coming in, they just have to meet 1 acre.
Here in section C, you've got section C. The tract for residential, section C is covering that for those lot sizes for residential dwellings. So that would be 3 acres.
That's if it's a commercial subdivision.
Yeah, I think we got to figure out what we're calling this, or we're.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, this
Yeah,
is,
for a business subdivision, for a,
we're talking about two different things. I think we're talking about a residential
Well,
subdivision.
for a residential subdivision, okay, but residential, even in ag, you can't have the two, they can't be conflicting. You can't have one place is saying a 1 acre lot, and the other side, this thing says it's a 3 acre lot.
correct,
So you're gonna have to amend,
we're gonna have to amend R.
well, you're also gonna have to amend A.
For what?
Well, but this is lot, minimum yard and lot size is what 2.11 covers,
Correct.
okay? A in agriculture is 1 acre.
Correct.
So you can build a home in A,
A family home.
a family home.
A single family.
A single family
That's,
dwelling.
that's a minimum law. You can
So
build
if
a
I
5
go
acres.
out
if you
to
want
1,000
But minimum
south
is 1 acre.
at 300 west, I can buy 1 acre and I build a house on, and it is zoned agricultural. Okay. That currently standing right now. Okay. All I have to meet is setbacks, floodplain checks, and I gotta be able to put a septic on
Yeah,
it.
septic, yeah.
That's it. If we pass this. Not tonight, we're not.
Right,
When we
right.
do the subdivision control ordinance,
Right.
it will, the trigger is only for what's currently put in here. So I'm quoting off of this, is commercial subdivision. The 3 acres on page 2 of section -.04 is 3 acres for this commercial subdivision. So if Acme Builders wants to come in and buy 100 acres and build a commercial residential subdivision, it will no longer be zone A. It will be zone R. That make sense?
Yep.
Then, where we have confliction, if this is passed, is that says R is 7,000 square feet.
Right.
The subdivision control ordinance says 3. What's being proposed, so I'm hearing from several, I'm just using KW first, is you're talking about some density, 5 houses per
10 acres.
10 acres.
That wouldn't limit your lot size, as long as it met our requirements, that wouldn't limit your lot size, that would just limit your amount of homes you could put on a 10 acre block. So you could build 5 1 acre homes, but you've got 5 acres that are gonna sit idle. You could build a 1 acre home and monstrosity mansion on the other, on 4 acres, and then you still have. You could still fit some in that. As long as it met all the other requirements, but you're not saying. You have to have 3 acres, you could still have 1 acre. But you can have one house in the 10, that there are 1 of 5 homes in that 10 acres, that's. Takes up 1 acre. One that could take up 3 acres, one that could take up 2 acres, one that could take up another acre.
You can split it up.
You can split it up however you want, but no more than 5 homes in 10 acres. So if you have 3 people want to build 3 acre lots, you can have 3 3 acre lot homes and 1 1 acre lot. That's for 4 houses fit in a 10 acre lot.
So what do I do if I only got 8 acres?
And that's where I'm saying is, I think we need to come up with, I hear the density control. But I think we also need to have is a. And with that, you can't go smaller than. But then, so then with that, what is that? Instead of 5 out of 10, is there a density control way to word that? So then, what is that percentage? 5 out of 10 acres, 5 houses out of 10 acres. I mean, more or less, it's a 2 acre minimum,
It's a 2 acre minimum.
but. With a lot of subdivisions, they try to build. Is have smaller.
Right.
Lot sizes, 0.33, but then that's going to push that they're gonna have to have their own septic. Or they're gonna have to have a massive. You know. Sewer system of their own.
Is 3 acres a too big of a number, right? Are you more comfortable? Are people more comfortable with a 2 acre lot size? I think when I listen to the group, I think it's like everyone's like. I don't want this to look like Lafayette. I don't want it to look like Crawfordsville did it. If we make it so that lot size is big enough, it still has kind of like a rural ag feel, but it's still a bedroom community. At least for me, that's how I see it. I don't want to see it looking like Lafayette and Crawfordsville. I still want it to have it kind of like that ag lookish. You know, it's still got enough space. If somebody wanted to put a barn and have a cow out there, or a few sheep or a horse, they got acres to do that if they want to do that. You know,
So for instance, if you go down 136 towards Veedersburg. You're almost to, just past Powell, you almost complete that curve. Those on average are about 2 acres. Those houses are about 2 acres. That one's two, they'll look about the same, that was one. So you have a couple that are 2, then they go to 1, they're long and slender. So there's the houses that are really close, I say really close to, those are 1 acre at once. So kind of give an idea of.
And if you drive through Tippecanoe County, the rural areas, and look at the homes there, if I remember right, there's that's 5 acre minimum.
Yeah.
To build in
Yeah.
Tippecanoe County.
yeah.
That's, so that'll give you an idea.
And if, if you go with 3 acre minimum, that gives and people will grumble about it, but that gives the person that's building that place the option to expand.
Yes.
If you buy a home and you buy that home and say, okay, I've got 3 acres here, now I can add a pole barn
Right.
if I want to, or a larger garage.
You're not gonna butt up against the setback and the boundaries at all.
Exactly.
Well, and this is the bringing up what you've already brought up, so the conversations I'm having in my other position with the county. Is they're trying to figure out how to put up, outbuildings. Inside of a certain subdivision that's just south of 74 on Stringtown Road. Because now they've got these. But that goes back to how we approved a plat. That we then inherited.
Right.
So now they were filed underneath theirs, and I'm not just trying to air dirty laundry, I'm saying is, and this is that. So I'm trying to, I'm not married to 3, we can make it 2, and I'm good with it, I'm just saying.
I personally like 3. I mean, I like 3 and it's clearly defined enough. It doesn't leave what if vague generalities. The vague generalities are in that exemption area. If we get that covers that part. That's the vague generalities. I think from our standpoint, we need to have something that's clear and concise. This is what we said. You like us, that's fine. If you hate us, that's fine. But we're clear about it, okay? And we're clear enough. We want to say, in fact, yeah, come on, you can come build. You can build your subdivision, but you're not going to make it look like the rest of those communities you're doing that in. It's going to have our look, okay? It's still going to have kind of a rural look to it.
And if you go with the 3 acres. Great, so, okay, you brought it up earlier, what if somebody buys an 8 acre field?
Right.
Well, okay, you've got an 8 acre field that you want
You
to
can only
put.
divide it into
You get
2s.
2, and then you come for the second one to get a
Variance.
from
Yeah.
the BZA. I point to him because he's the chair of the BZA, that's, I'm not just.
Yeah.
Yes, and that's where.
You're going, hey, I'm developing this, okay, I got 8 acres, there's a 2 acre lot, can we do a 2 acre lot, and then. Sorry, but if I'm sitting there and I was doing this, okay, so what size house are you gonna, how are you gonna build in that 2 acre lot, how many bedrooms? And I think, as we go along, we get a little smarter at it, it's like, okay, so how many bedrooms, because it's gonna set the size of the septic, and then, oh, by the way, the state's thinking we're gonna have to, well, if that one fails, you're gonna build a second set of septic, so. Do you have enough space to do that? Okay, that's the conversation we can have at that point.
And if I understand correctly, if I've got this correctly from how this is designed. Is this also doesn't, if we decide and we want to, look, we have a map on. So if we want to go south of Malott, I'm just using a random place, and we say, you know what? Putting a nice bigger subdivision would be really smart there. Please don't say that I said that, I'm just using it.
Everybody knows that you said it now.
Yeah, it's forever memorial. And we can say is we're going to accept the plat. Now we have to send it over to the BZA for getting the special exception. And they can grant a variance for lot 1, lot 2, lot 3, lot 17, 19, 23, and we can even do that. But it has to go through the whole process in order to get that. This is just a parameter.
Yeah.
That's has a variance to it because we have a BZA. If there is a reason why you can't do it, then bring it before the BZA and we will be able to
Yeah.
look at it. And it is what it is. But it just keeps them from doing it without making sure that everybody knows that. We don't find out that we have 100 home subdivision going in. And we had no idea. The building superintendent didn't know, no one knew except for the previous landowner and the contractor.
Yeah.
And now we have, the fire department didn't even know. And we build homes and then now all of a sudden we can't even go down the road. And get a fire truck, ambulance, police car, and the road is crumbling apart.
Yeah.
These are all, so.
And I'm better with the 3 acre lot minimum as long as everyone is aware that it is for commercial / retail
Retail building a house on its subdivision.
Correct.
That's what we're using it for. We're not using it to build businesses. We're not using
I'm a
it.
little concerned about, we should just call it residential subdivision. I think business subdivisions should be, maybe even look different than.
Oh, yes.
businesses.
Oh, yeah.
Business,
So I'm not,
subdivision,
I don't like
Yeah.
calling it business subdivision.
Yeah.
If you would call it residential, I'm fine with that.
residential,
Yeah.
yes.
So
Business
Or
means,
if you want
business means something
Or
different.
if you want to call it commercial residential, meaning it's commercially built,
That would be, yeah.
Yes.
commercial
I
residential
think you have to have
development.
residential in there to help define.
Yeah, I think so, because otherwise it gets too confusing. You're thinking commercial like businesses,
Yes.
industries
And
and all that.
that's kind of where I was throwing retail in, because they're building this to resell.
Yes,
So then it becomes retail
Retail.
property at
Yeah.
that point in time.
I like the retail part. I think that's kind of clear. You're buying it to resell it. That was your intent. There's no question here. When you come to ask for it, everybody knew you were coming to resell it, you know.
So to clarify for everyone so they can hear. For all, anyways, I'll leave that alone. Section -.03 exemptions for immediate family subdivisions. Let's play this out. I've got 11 kids. I have 110 acres. I can subdivide this. Because it goes to my children and they can build homes. And I can have this, I can parcel it out. To them. Someone comes from another state, from another town, from the other side of the county. And wants to purchase. This, the exemption it doesn't trigger it. It's not in the ordinance, so I don't know. I'm not questioning who said or who didn't, I'm not sure what you're speaking of, so there's been misinformation. That's not in there in the ordinance that people can't move to Fountain County. With it's for a developer coming in and buying up a tract of land and subdividing it.
Yeah.
The evidence of what we call here is commercial intent. Marketing materials, if you're found on Facebook that you're trying to sell 7 homes off of 1000 South. I think it sounds like, new homes that we just bought and it used to be owned by Farmer Bill. That is one of these that gets triggered with this. Yeah, not someone wants to move from Illinois and move to Fountain County. We welcome that. That's not what's stopping this.
Correct. And the way it is now, that's 1 acre.
Correct.
That's one, just.
I think, and that's because,
Clarify that
Yeah.
Yes.
for everybody, that the way it sits now, that. One family wants to come from point A to Fountain County, it's 1 acre to build a new home.
I could buy 1 acre
And
off
I mean,
K Dub
saying
right
further
there.
to the citizens of Fountain County, it's very clear saying. If you lived here, you own land here, your family wants to move back here, or you want to disperse your land off to your family, You have the right to do it. You can do
Absolutely.
that. There's no problem about that whatsoever. Now, if you wanna subdivide your 40 acre field and do a housing development on it, now we got a different question about it. It's not going to your kids, your grandkids.
That triggers
That-
this.
That triggers that other part. So yeah,
Yes.
I think that's very clear.
Any other questions over?
That 3 acre, we're talking, is that any certain shape you divide it in? You can
3
do
acre.
whatever.
You can make it, if you wanna make it a fan shape, so you can have a cul-de-sac. That comes under, what that comes under is road use. And traffic flow, that comes underneath that, which has to be looked at in order to get that approved. Not that it can't get approved,
Okay.
it's just that if you're going to do a cul-de-sac. You have to be understanding that you're turning the radials and you're going to be causing friction, so you have to compact that more, and you have to have appropriate, because you're gonna, if you put sand out there, we're gonna have ruts because we're turning in the cul-de-sac. Has to be built correctly, has to be able to build wide enough so our plow trucks can make that curve, not me and my little micro, car, Flintstone style, type of thing. We have to be able to get our plow truck, or if it's in the area, it might be a road grader that's coming through your area. So these are those, but no, there's no, specifically to your question.
Okay.
We are not telling you, you have to have it be a rectangle or it has to be a square. I don't care. It can look, I mean, you do you, but it has to be 3 acres. Has to meet setbacks too,
Yeah.
so you can't make it this wide.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right along.
Other questions?
Was there any reason that the 5 year period where that came from? With the window of division of section 2 is C?
I'm going to pull that up. Section 2.02.
Well, yeah, section C, number 2, I guess is the better way to say it.
I see that now, yes, that. The way I would interpret that is. You get your design in, you have 5 years that
Okay,
if you drag your feet and 8 years down the road, you wanna add the third house or the fourth house, then it's gonna have to be revisited.
okay, so it just gives
Is that
them,
how that?
okay, so it just gives them time.
So
for-
we're-
It gives them more of a crunch time frame. This subdivision has gotta be done within 5 years.
The division of the tract into 3 or more within a 5 year period. We created a boundary that we're not playing that. We're all adults. We can play the sneaky way.
Yeah, that makes sense, yeah.
Here's a rule, you can't, well, I subdivide, well, you have to wait, you have to wait to re-subdivide it again. So you can't go and split it, and 1 year later, I can wait 1 year, we put the 5 years in.
Right.
So it's curtailing the way around triggering the. Whatever we decide, retail subdivision, the selling subdivision. But then they have 2 years to finish the build, that's in. APC approval shall be valid, it's under H, the last decision and validity, APC approval shall be valid for 2 years from the date of final approval. But you can't go and subdivide and not trigger the subdivision control ordinance. And then 3 months later refile again. We're gonna be watching going, no, you're just re-subdividing over and over. I can divide that by 2 by 2 by 2. That, no. Yes.
Okay.
I call it predatory, development. And we're not the only county that's facing this. I've talked to, a larger county in Illinois. And some of their predatory, and I discussed some of this, and they're like, oh, that would be great to be in place. Yes. Other discussion? So are we good with the term retail subdivision?
Yes.
I am.
Retail, residential.
I think you got the presidential in it,
So residential subdivision.
Retail residential subdivision.
I think
And that covers all the bases, and it's very, very clear about what the intent
Yeah.
is.
Retail, residential subdivision.
What if I don't plan to sell them?
Well, what were you doing in the first place?
I'm just asking the question.
Then it would become yours
So it's yours.
and yours, and then
So then
it
it's,
would come to the immediate family division then.
so if I build 10 homes and I have no plans to sell
I think you're crazy.
I'm just saying, I just had a conversation with a large county in Illinois, one of their assistant zoning administrators.
You're just assuming the price of land's gonna go up, so might as well buy it now.
I mean, I'm just worst case scenario. I'm not trying to be that guy. All right, retail, residential subdivision, and we can work on that. And we're good with the three?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we have to call, so it's not entitled to we'll change that on the commercial, because we have to have what's called a subdivision control ordinance. That's one of the things we have to have, so we are getting that. Any comment from the commission members, anything they wanna?
I think sometime tonight we need to formally adopt our meeting dates for this year.
Yeah.
We can work on that, I can get for the let's see here.
Do you roughly know Brian's schedule?
I don't, that's what I've been trying to get a hold of him, he's been in and out of vision meetings and planning meetings for the new year, and our paths have not crossed, so that's. Are we good for the 26th, Thursday night, the 26th of February?
I work.
I am not good for that. No.
So you're gonna set the meeting dates arbitrarily?
I'm until I can get a hold of Brian, I'm trying to be able to work in
Okay,
a schedule on that, trying to get his and our paths.
okay,
What about the 25th?
I'm good, the February the 26th.
We got two that
What,
are out.
what,
Wednesday night,
I work.
Busy on Wednesdays.
Wednesday nights.
You're busy on Wednesdays?
Yeah.
What about the 19th?
Yeah.
Wednesday, Friday, or Thursday the night.
Thursday the night, 19th.
Of course.
Thursday the 19th.
That would become the third Thursday of the month.
Would that work? Is the third Thursday of the month good for people?
Well, it works for me, but like I'm getting ready to plan a schedule for tomorrow night for the next 6 weeks, so if I know what day it is. I can just say, that's out, I'm not gonna be there. Or I come to the other thing, it's like, if the meeting was earlier in the evening, like at about 5:30ish, then I could be here for at least an hour. You know, if you want to move earlier, but with my work schedule, I pretty much have to hit the road by 6:30, maybe from the hospital.
So February 19th will be our February meeting.
would you say it again, John?
February 19th,
February 9th.
and I'll get the rest of them, I'll get those announced. On that.
Well, the tentative plan for the third Thursday of March.
Having the same day, I know doesn't work for Brian's schedule, because he has, I think it's a 48 off and 24 on schedule.
Thursday.
Yeah.
And so the
Thursdays jack him up.
Yeah.
I don't know that any day doesn't jack him up.
Well, yeah, it's just the way health.
He's not off every Wednesday, he's not off every Thursday, it's one of those flippy floppy schedules.
6 p.m. Same time.
Yes, for that one. Public comment.
So what I'm getting is what you put out is something that's gonna be added to the existing subdivision ordinance. This control ordinance is in addition to the existing subdivision.
It will be it will be article, whatever the next article is. what are we on 12, 13, something like that, Article 12 or 13 or whatever the number is. It's a subdivision control ordinance. So Article 9 is, for instance, solar. So Article 10 is and 11, so the Article 10 was that Beth or AI? And 11 was whatever one, so I think it's gonna be Article 12.
Separate ordinance.
And so we'll have a public meeting on that, public hearing. On February the 19th, I'll get that notified. For the 19th,
And then we are gonna do an amendment on column one.
same night.
Same night. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Just reference, I think this is, pretty sure this is accurate, that Champaign County has 7 acre. It's for, instead of 3,
7.
they would have to have, has 7 acres.
That's been controlled by the county again. I mean,
My brother does hay, and he says he, for people.
Yeah.
And he says he has a lot of 7 acre. Pieces of land that he has to go to visit places with green hay. Because they want them to set. That's the least you could buy. Interesting.
Well, so it still keeps the rural ag feel, you know, I mean, that's at the end of the day, and at the end of the day. At least for me personally, I'll speak for me personally. Okay, I want the people that move here, I want them to be in the same kind of mindset that I am. I want them to want that rural ag feel. You know, no offense, I want you to have a few critters because then somebody's gonna be in the business of selling feed to your critters. And somebody's gonna be in the business of building a fence to keep your critters in. And somebody's gonna be mowing the hay, the farmer's gonna be mowing the hay. And
That's a part of our comprehensive plan, maintaining rural.
yeah, when you structure it that way, then it keeps alive that small community feel that we want to keep, other than. I just want you to come here, park your car, go to bed, pump your gas, maybe get by with some quick mart. That's not what I want for my community. I wanted to, somebody wants to build a fence, somebody wants to mow the hay, you know.
I think that's in us being able to, as we expand this, is looking in cooperation with. I think the cities are trying to create a different feel, and I don't fault them. They're a city.
Yeah.
I hope Gaithersburg is looking at this differently because they're a different entity. They don't cover from Park County to, the Wabash River on the north end by Tippecanoe County. It's a different thing, but what we're bringing to the table, and you bring up Champaign County, I think it's the same thing. Champaign proper, the city, and Urbana think differently than the county does, as they're supposed to. Because there's people that will never live inside of the metropolis of Champaign, Urbana, but they wouldn't mind living off 3300 north right off of
Well,
57.
and then there's also that part of it that if we set this size big enough, then if a city is from the standpoint of, we need some more tax revenue, let's just annex. Let's annex all that subdivision out there, because then we can get that tax money. If you make it big enough, that area, well, they can annex it, there's some houses there, but there's not a lot to grab when you go to do it. So, and clearly from people, when you're driving down the road, you can clearly see that here was town, and here's this little area, this little quasi zone, and then now we're here, and I can clearly see this is different, clearly different than what was over here on the other side of this 2-mile swath.
Like maybe protecting the wells.
Yeah,
And the water out in the country.
and that's the other thing, you have to come make sure you can get water.
Yes.
And that well's far enough away from the septic. And the slope of the land doesn't go down to some of their neighbor's property, and you're gonna contaminate their well with your septic.
Other public comment? You have a motion to dismiss. This is the most favorite time of everybody.
I make motions.
Michael makes the motion.
I'll second.
We got a tie. We have all in favor. Aye.
Right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you
for coming
very much.
again.
Thanks.
What's that? You got here.
It's on page 10, like,
We're getting
zone.
somewhere.
Okay.